So I want to ask you a question. When you were dealing with depression, how did it make you feel? Like how would you describe, what word would you use to describe your state of depression?
If I had to describe depression, for me, was stuck.
Yeah.
Stuck. I would give the analogy of being in a cage or being in jail.
Yeah.
And someone actually comes and opens the door for you, and you have the freedom to walk out, and you just can't walk out because you just don't know how to walk out. You don't have a manual. Like you see it, you know you can do it, but it's I don't even know if it's fear. It's just a weird feeling, and knowing that you can change at any moment, but it just won't happen at that moment.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So what was that turning point for you? What do you think, what did you do, or what tool did you use to help get you out of your depression? Was it like religion? Was it your kids? What was it for you?
It was gratitude.
That's interesting.
Gratitude, because I had the out-of-body experience. And once I had the out-of-body experience, and some people will call it near-death experience, I knew I was dead. And when I was in that dimension, I thought about everything I could have, should have, would have done.
Yeah.
And if I could go back, what I would do differently.
Wow.
And that was a aha wake-up moment. Like, you know what? Life wasn't that bad. You thought life was bad then. No. Where you at right now is not the greatest. So I just wished, and I even said to God, if you let me go back, I would praise your name and I would do things differently. And so when I came back, it didn't happen overnight where I snapped my fingers and now I was able to walk out of that jail or that cage. It took some time, but what I started doing was appreciating every drip drop of my life. The clothes I had, the family, my husband, the problems.
Yeah.
I appreciate the problems in my life. Like with depression, you don't appreciate problems.
Absolutely.
It's the woe, it's me. So that was the aha moment for me where I just started changing. And I was on medication. I must admit, medication really helped me. But something happened through my depression where I stopped taking my medications. And that's what happens with a lot of people who are depressed. And this is a disclaimer. I'm not telling anyone to not take your medications. So don't claim that on me. But this is what I'm telling you my story and what happened. So what happened was I did not refill my medications. And what I would do is I would call the pharmacy and ask them to call my doctor and get a refill. Finally, the doctor's office figured out, like after 6 months of what I was doing. And the pharmacy called me back and said, your doctor's office has a message. They said, get your behind in here. And so I didn't. But I think that was around the time frame of my out-of-body experience. I don't know. I think like the out-of-body experience jolted me, and I just started having appreciation, and then I started meditating and praying.
Yeah.
And I connected with my spiritual team.
Yeah.
I don't advise anyone to do it the way I did it because mine was more like experimental. I didn't even know what path I was on. I didn't even know that this thing was going to work.
Yeah.
But I do suggest everyone take your medications and go from there. But for me, it was the gratitude and the appreciation and praying and meditating. And I just started looking at life from a different set of lenses. And I started saying, wait a minute. Oh, I made lemons into lemonade. Yeah. Everything.
Yeah.
Everything was lemon into lemonade. Because I'm like, you know what? I didn't like the way how depression felt.
Yeah.
It felt like a gloomy, sad moment all day long. And the best analogy I would give people is like that movie Get Out, when he was in a sunken place and he felt like he was falling. I always felt like that. Like, and my whole thing too was, when is this gonna end?
Yeah.
Prior to me having my out-of-body experience, prior to me getting to another level, I just was I was sad because I'm like, when is the due date? When am I going to start feeling better?
So it's interesting that you had to utilize tools, no matter what tools you use.
Yes.
You had to utilize specific tools to help raise your vibration to some capacity.
Definitely.
Right? So I commend you for that. And,
thank you.
You know, you had an outer body experience that some people, they haven't had that opportunity to have an outer body experience, which was eye-opening for you.
It definitely was.
I'm bringing all this up because you and I, we consider ourselves to be twin flames.
Yes.
Right? Which is why we're here. We're having this, we have this platform, and God has given us this platform. And what is this all about? Because, I laugh because, we make this joke that you and I have reincarnated because we made a mistake in a past life.
Yes, we did.
We made a big mistake in a past life, whether you guys want to believe it or not. But we came back to rectify that big mistake. And you may wonder, what is that mistake that we made? And we came into an aha moment very recently, trying to discover or bring forth what this mistake was. And, we came back to fix this thing. And this thing has a lot to do with this platform.
Yes.
So this thing, guys, we're going to reveal it today.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too, because I think that is going to help a lot of people, which is why I wanted to start the conversation about depression.
Yeah.
And this thing has a lot to do with a lot of philosophies that we have ran into on our journey. And one of them has to do with the great psychiatrist, David Hawkins. He came up with the philosophy about levels of consciousness and vibrations. And a lot of people talk about vibrations, the vibrational scale. And what are vibrations? People bring up vibrations all the time. What are vibrations? And the thing is, vibrations and how do they play into everyone's lives, right? So our message is so strong today that we wanted to bring it up immediately in the beginning of the show. And vibrations, you guys, and based off of David Hawkins' information, has to do with this phenomenal scale that teaches people that vibrations varies from low to high.
It sure does.
And he equates it to emotions. And emotions can range from all the way from shame to doubt,
pride,
yeah, to courage, to willingness, all the way up to love.
Oh yeah,
and so on and so forth. And we want to bring light to all of this information today, and how it can help people heal.
Definitely.
So let's talk about David Hawkins a little bit. So David Hawkins, he actually is a psychiatrist and a spiritualist.
I think that's a great combination.
Yeah, I do too.
Because with medicine, you can't really mix. Well, in medical situations usually don't intertwine spirituality with it.
Correct.
But so he had the gift of both.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he was able, or I know that's why he was able to come to this conclusion.
Yeah.
Because with me being on the psych ward, I never hear, when I'm in a treatment team meeting, I never hear them ask a person about their spirituality when they're reviewing their weekly case.
But we're supposed to, though.
Yeah.
We're supposed to.
Well,
it's supposed to be part of a part of a person's treatment plan.
It should be to a certain extent. What it is they never ask them, like, so that is a question when they first come in.
Yeah.
And if the person brings it up in a meeting, they'll talk about it or they'll refer them to the chaplain.
Yes.
So they usually let the spiritual aspect be covered by the chaplain.
Yeah.
But the doctor themselves usually don't blend spirituality with the patient when they're talking to them.
That's because I don't think people understand the significance behind it.
Yes. Yes.
Continue.
So God bless David.
Exactly.
Because he had that gift and that's why he was able to do what he did.
But look at us, we're nurses, right?
Yeah.
So we came back as nurses who understand medicine to a certain capacity. And now we have been enlightened and now we are metaphysicians and we also are empaths.
Oh, yeah. We have a little gumbo.
A gumbo of spirituality and our pain and our healing and our emotional journeys have also caused us to become more and more spiritually. I guess we have grown in our spirituality and the things that we have learned and then also obtained.
Yes,
has grown.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's been pretty cool.
Yeah. We got a lot of wisdom out of that.
We have. But that's actually all part of the teachings of David Hawkins as well, is that he says that awareness is all part of the process. So people need to understand that. So he speaks about awareness, which awareness actually coincides with the term ignorance. And I don't want people to think that ignorance is a negative term. It's really not a negative term. Ignorance just means that you just lack a certain level of knowledge.
Yeah.
And as you become more wise, and however you obtain your information, it broadens, obviously, your knowledge base.
Definitely.
To certain aspects of life and of the world. And honestly, this is why we're here, because we want to teach people about the vibrational scale,
yes,
and how it intertwines with our emotions, so that way you can become more wise in how we interact with other people and how it affects our emotions. It's so enlightening.
It's like putting on a pair of glasses and looking at it from a different set of lenses.
It is,
and you'll be amazed that when you have this gift and you're able to master it, you literally, like when I think back about how I was in my 30s and my vision of certain situations, I was ignorant.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know.
Yeah.
Even with different groups, people have a tendency to look down on them. And then later on in life, they're like, well, why was I even thinking negative about them? They're beautiful. Why would I even think on that level?
Yeah.
Because it was ignorance. They didn't have enough information to validate why they shouldn't feel this way about this certain group of people. So
correct.
Yeah.
So basically, a vibration. We all vibrate.
We do.
We all vibrate. We all give off a certain vibration, which is based off of megahertz. We've all heard of megahertz.
Yeah.
We all vibrate, and we all have a frequency,
including objects.
Everything has a vibration and a frequency.
Yes.
So, and we'll get into frequencies a little bit later, but we want to talk about strictly vibration right now.
Yes. So I have shame. Shame is the lowest, according to David Hawkins. And shame is when you're feeling miserable and humiliation. And then you go above. Shame is guilt. And guilt is the victimhood, the blame. And apathy, when you feel helplessness and hopeless. Grief, sadness, regret, depression. Fear is worry and anxiety. And I'm going to go up to pride, because we had desire, anger. Anger, this is a lot of people get to, let me not even skip. Desire is greed and what is that? Insatiable. And in anger is hate, aggression, a moving energy. And pride is dependent upon external conditions. That is very interesting with pride, because a lot of people walk around with pride and don't know it hurts.
Exactly.
Instead of help.
Right.
Like a lot of people, when they talked about their parents when they were younger, my dad, like a loved one that passed away, he had a lot of pride. And that could be a good thing, but overall it's a negative vibration, because like it says, dependent upon external conditions.
Right.
So it's really important for people, especially the ones that were born in like the 70s, 80s, and 90s. You came from an era where what happened in your house stayed in your house. We don't discuss any of that stuff. You don't let people know, depression. You didn't tell people you were depressed. That was pride. So I remember my first year of having depression, I didn't even tell my husband because of pride. And then when I told him, indirectly, because we were ignorant to information, then when I actually started having the courage, which is actually on that scale, I had the courage to start telling people things. But because my husband was still in the pride level, he was like, you need to stop telling everyone that you have depression.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess it was embarrassing for him. I don't know what the situation was, but what me having the courage, which is on a higher scale, people would come up to me and say thank you because I'm going through the same thing. So, anywho,
I guess he felt like it was giving off negativity.
Yeah, because also too, back then depression was like, I don't know. It was like opening your closet and showing everybody your disorganization.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Back then. Now it's like, no, we need you to take that pride away and open up.
Yeah. But the point is that you have very, very low vibrations.
Yes.
So you, when you give off these lower vibrations on the scale, that people can feel these vibrations.
Yes.
In the room, people can feel these vibrations. So when I asked you about your depression, it's funny how you said you feel stuck.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You use stuck as being one of the terms to describe vibrations. I mean, how you felt. So, and I find that fascinating because I'm leading up to something. So follow me.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because when you give off a vibration, what happens is if you're interacting with people or if you're giving off a certain vibration, if you aren't feeding off of another vibration that can help elevate you into a different level, or you're experiencing a vibration that is beyond that vibration that you're feeling, you don't know what's beyond.
Yeah.
That vibration.
Yeah. Or actually, so in my case, like I would see someone. So let's say a celebrity.
Yeah.
On social media or something. I would desire to be like that. And I'm like, how are they doing this?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I want to, and I wasn't saying vibrate at that time, but I would want to vibrate on that level. And for example, I had 3 kids. So like say I was around a woman who had 3 kids and she had it together. She was very organized. Her kids was dressed real clean, from sun up to sundown, she had it together. I would be sitting there like a little kid, like, how is she doing that?
Yeah, you don't know how to get there.
Yes.
Yeah.
and she was vibrating on a higher level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's tricks and trades to this whole vibrational game that people need to start to understand.
Yes.
But we got to give you some of the basics. So understanding the vibrational scale in general.
Yes.
So first, if you're vibrating low, this is number 1. So you have you have shame and grief and apathy and guilt and fear. Those are very, very low vibrations.
Yes.
So that's 100 and below. So just to put it into perspective again, as you can see, you have shame that sits at 20, or you have apathy that's at 50, or you have fear that's at 100. Think about those emotions.
Yes.
Even when you have people that resonate that emotion, again, like I said to you a little while ago, you can feel that when someone walks in the room. You can feel that vibration.
Yep.
Right? So now let's move up a little bit up the scale.
Okay.
So if you have somebody that's giving off courage or somebody that's neutral.
And if you notice at the scale, David put 200 and he has it in bold.
Yeah.
Because it's
almost like it's a turning point.
Yes. He's trying to implicate this is when you can start seeing a little light.
Yes.
And your knowledge is like, okay, I know there's something bigger.
Correct.
Than these lower vibrations that I'm in.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
For courage, it says level of empowerment, life is exciting.
Yeah.
So, and a good example is like when somebody who has been stuck applies for college and gets in.
Yeah.
And they might be in their 30s or 40s and they're starting over, they press the reset button. And they had the courage to fill out some applications because they've been wanting to go to school for the last 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
And didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So now they have the courage and they're saying, okay, I'm going to step out on faith. I'm going to step out of this fear. Because fear is one of the lower vibrations, and fear holds a lot of people back.
Exactly.
So the courage is like the turning point, like you said.
Exactly. But again, because it's highlighted, because it is a turning point, it can also mean that you can still turn the other way.
Yes. Definitely. I'm glad you mentioned that.
So you have to know, and we'll come back to that point too, because you have to know, because it's highlighted, that there are other vibrations or there are people around you, if you're not careful, that can pull you back down. And we'll come back to that philosophy.
Oh, yeah.
But just to go back up to the scale, if you look, you have neutrality, you have willingness, you have acceptance, right? And these are the higher vibrations. They make you feel lighter.
Yep.
Right? You start feeling like, oh my gosh, I can, I can get through life. I can feel positivity. Things are looking up for me. You can't, things like that. These are just lighter feelings. Happiness is a possibility.
Yes.
Right? You can move past. Depression probably doesn't even exist at this point when you move past this portion of the scale.
Yes.
Right? And then when you get into, obviously, 500, you experience what's called love. And then beyond. And then peace. A lot of people experience peace and joy.
You know who I notice have peace? A lot of elderly.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they're at the point where, like, I'm not even fighting life. They don't even get fazed by anything at that point. They're like, oh, whatever.
It's so true. It's so true. So throughout life, you can honestly say that most people fluctuate throughout this scale.
They do.
They experience different levels of this scale, right? And at most points, you can't honestly say that most people don't have a point where they are coasting at a good point in their life. You always have something that fucking comes around
yes,
and brings you back down to point zero, damn it.
Yes.
There's always something that comes around.
Yeah.
Like that damn spouse or something.
Exactly.
Right? And the thing is, how can you navigate life and figure out, how can you always come to a point where you're coasting through life and having peace? I want to know what she got.
Yeah.
Why is she always smiling?
Yes.
That's what people say to me at work. Why are you always so happy?
Yeah. Do you ever get mad?
I got the juice, though. Because there are things that you have to figure out about life. And there is a catch to it. Yeah. And it's not easy. It's not easy figuring it out.
I think people must understand that from now until you go into your casket, there's always going to be problems.
There are.
There's always going to be obstacles. So it's not like, when is life going to be perfect? It's how can you handle life until you leave this earth?
Right.
And how can you handle it having peace, joy, love? So that's the question, and that's why we're here.
Right. That's exactly why we came back.
Because there is a remedy. There is a way to do it.
Right.
We're actively doing it now. It took a long time for us to get to that point.
Yeah.
And it wasn't easy, but I would rather you do the shortcut versus taking the route that we both did.
Yeah.
Because it's not, and when you look back, you could have simply handled it better than we did. Along the way. We took the scenic routes. So anywho, so that's why we're here.
Yeah, and this is the thing, we had to mold together a lot of different philosophies in order to understand it. But I think understanding David Hawkins' philosophy was the final piece to the puzzle.
Yes.
And I think that this is actually the most important piece of it all. I think because this is the most easiest piece for the world to really understand, because everybody talks about vibrations.
Yes, everybody.
And what is a vibration?
Good vibes, good vibrations. I'm vibrating.
Yes, but this is it.
But I don't even think people understand when they're saying that, the magnitude
of what it is.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
So if you're loving somebody, guess what? You're at a 500. If that man makes you feel so good when you're with him, he has you on 500, y'all. Okay?
Yeah.
And if you're feeling moments where you are feeling so courageous, guess what? You're at a 200. If you're feeling very balanced, guess what? You're at, what's a balance? Whatever a balance is, you're feeling balanced, you're at 250. Balance is 250. You see what I'm saying? So you're giving off megahertz. We're all vibrating on a scale.
Mm-hmm.
It's a legit scale. Like, this is real.
Yeah.
This is some real shit.
Yes.
We're all balancing. We're all vibrating a true vibration.
So let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Everything has energy. Everything vibrates.
Yes.
The mics, the cups, everything.
Everything.
Your thoughts
vibrate.
They
do.
Scientifically, you can look this up. They did tests where they can actually see like the waves coming from someone's head.
Yeah.
You need like a special camera. But they have proven that your thoughts permeate a room.
Yeah.
So like we said, if somebody comes in a room, they bring this energy with them. That's what we all do. We bring an energy in a room.
Correct.
Somebody could come with some big, beautiful energy. Somebody could come with a, oh, well, it's me energy. So people must start being aware of the vibration that is around them and how other vibrations affect them.
Correct.
And how situations affect them. Where are they going to a higher scale on the vibration or a higher level on the vibration scale, or are they letting things make them get to anger and shame and guilt and pride and all that kind of stuff?
Correct.
So you have to make sure the first part is being aware
of who you are. And where you are on the vibrational scale.
Yes, and how things, the littlest, tiniest things, even not to your children.
Correct.
How do they make you vibrate?
Correct.
Because you'll be surprised. Like I was talking to a lady the other day, and I said to her, I told her what I do. I am very conscious when I walk in my house, when I'm walking down the walkway. Before I walk in the house, I purposely try to have positive thoughts. And I purposely bring in sunshine and sunflowers to my house.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, when you worked, I worked over 12 hours a day, and I get up 4:50 a.m. every morning. And by the time I get home, it's 8 p.m.
Yeah.
And then I got to do it again the next morning if I'm working 3 12-hour shifts in a row. I'm exhausted. And then I bring this low energy to my house, and it affects my kids.
It does.
And we must all be aware of that. How are you affecting people around you?
Correct.
And how are other vibrations affecting you?
Yeah.
And that's,
Exactly. And I know that we had recently talked about Tasha Smith.
Yes.
On the Breakfast Club. And she's a ray of sunshine. She talks about always wanting to have bad bitches around her.
Yes, yes.
And she said there's somebody on her team, she dimmed her own light because she didn't want Tasha Smith to feel bad because she didn't want her to think that she was outshining her. And she was like, why would you ever do that?
Yes.
Because she was confident enough in her own skin to say, no, I want you to radiate and vibrate just as much as me. Yes. Because if I'm vibrating at a 500 and I'm giving off love, then that means I need you to vibrate at a 500, okay?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yes.
Because there are people who vibrate high.
Yeah.
And don't want anyone on that level with them.
Yes.
And that's sad. And you have to
Let's talk about it.
You have to check yourself, because are you truly vibrating on a higher level?
Do you know what that is?
That's pseudo.
It's pseudo light.
Pseudo light.
That's not true light.
Yeah.
It's false light. That's what we call false light in spirituality. That's not true light.
Yeah.
You're not giving off real light. You're not operating on the love frequency.
Exactly.
That means that you might love yourself, but that means that you don't love everyone else around you.
Yeah.
So that means that you still have lessons to learn. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah.
Because what happens is that there's different levels to this shit.
Yeah.
Because we have to understand that we have to love ourselves first before we can love other people, right? And when we love ourselves, we operate at 500 for ourselves. That's the process of oneness, where we love ourselves, okay? That's a representation of God, when we love ourselves. But when we love ourselves, then we can give so much love to other people and humanity.
Yeah.
Right? And it radiates naturally. Right? But how much do you truly love yourself enough that you're willing to give it to other people?
Well, not to contradict what you're saying, because I think we talked about this before. I agree with you, but I think mothers, and this show is really a big thing for mothers, especially with multiple kids.
Yeah.
A lot of mothers are dying vibrationally,
Mm-hmm.
where they're putting their love to their children, to their household, and there's nothing left for them.
We've talked about that before.
Yeah. So it's like, and they're doing it the wrong way,
Mm-hmm.
because then they have a lot of resentment and a lot of anger,
Mm-hmm.
and and so they're vibrating on a lower scale because they're not giving that, putting off the vibration, that love for themselves.
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of like a thing where you can do it. You're supposed to do it the right way, where you love yourself first and then you can give other people love. But the question is, how can that mother who is giving everything to her children stop and say, you know what, I need to start loving myself?
That's because their lesson was about balance. So remember, if you look at the scale, we have neutrality on the scale, which radiates at 250, right? Neutrality. So that's about balance. That's where she was in her lesson.
Yeah.
She has to understand balance first, which is a hard lesson.
It is.
It's a hard lesson.
Mm-hmm.
So when she gets to a point of balance, then things start to fall into place differently. And we actually had to go through that with one of our guests that came on the show, where she had to understand the chaos in her life.
Exactly.
And then balance her household differently.
Mm-hmm.
But it actually started with some of the things that were going on internally.
Mm-hmm.
And then once she understood the things that were going on internally, then she could balance her household differently. So there were layers that were there that we had to get through.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing about the gifts that we have, is that we have the ability to piece together certain aspects of people's lives through our intuition and our empathic abilities, utilizing obviously some of these philosophies that we have studied.
Yes.
That some people are unable to do, which is why we are so gifted. And you know, there's a lot of self-help people that are out here that are offering people a lot of information, which is great. And it's not to knock a lot of the self-help gurus out here, because people need it. People need their information. But what happens is sometimes they're giving you the boat, they give you the paddle,
but they don't tell you how to do it.
The river's right here, and they're like, cross it.
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen somebody do that. Me and Janine was looking at like, so you really gonna tell her that?
It's not that easy.
It's not that easy. I said to you, how do you convince someone who lives in a low income neighborhood, in a low income apartment, and are only making minimum wage or below, to be able to vibrate on this scale, at a higher level?
Yes.
And that's the issue that a lot of people have, where they're not able to see further than the block.
Yeah.
When it comes down to their hope and their dreams. And so, and that's what we're talking about right now.
Exactly. So let's talk about that piece.
Yes.
Because what happens is, unfortunately, with vibrations, which is what I was trying to delve into, we ventured off a little bit.
Yeah.
You mentioned in the beginning that you utilize the word stuck.
Mm-hmm.
That's major. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people get stuck. And what causes energy to become stuck? And what happens is, when it comes to vibrations, when people get stuck within their vibrations, there's a lot of elements that cause that. It could be society can cause you to get stuck.
Everything.
Nutrition can cause you to get stuck.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
Music, I hate to say it, can cause you to get stuck. Politics.
The news.
Religion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Things can cause you to get stuck. And do you know what some of these elements are? They're actually frequencies. Mm-hmm. And what frequencies are, and the easiest way to explain a frequency is when we oscillate, right? It's when we oscillate.
Well, explain what oscillate is.
So oscillating is like moving in
Yeah.
like a circle, right?
Mhm.
So we vibrate and then we oscillate, right?
Yeah.
So the easiest way for me to explain a frequency in layman's terms is a change in perspective.
Mhm.
So those things that change our perspective is a frequency.
Mm.
That's what a frequency is. So those things that change our perspective is changing our frequency. So those changes in our frequency can move it up or down the scale in vibration. Okay? So religion can cause us to go up and make us feel love.
Mm-hmm.
Or it can actually bring us down because religion teaches us about, let's just say Christianity. You know, we grew up learning about Jesus and the devil.
Yeah.
So it teaches us that you can have, you can either, follow the path of the light, which is, based in based in Jesus or what is it called? Christ consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can do the wrong thing, or it's being devilish.
Yeah.
Right? Or you have these feelings of shame, which is lower vibrational.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's changing your perspective. That's what a frequency is. Or politics. You can be a Republican or a Democrat. It can move you.
Yeah.
These things can shake and move you up the vibrational scale.
Yeah.
Depending on how you believe in them.
Like watching the news can cause you to have fear.
Correct.
Breaking news. I'm like, geez.
Right.
Music. Like, what's going to happen now?
Right. Music. Depending on the type of music that you listen to, it can be very loving or it can be ratchet as hell.
Yeah.
When you have people that are stuck, that are stuck, whether it be in certain levels of consciousness, since we're talking about Darwin's scale, and they're caught in these vibrations. Unfortunately, if you don't learn how to move your vibration, and you don't understand the importance of moving out of these vibrations, because that's the thing. Sometimes people don't value the importance of moving out of the vibration. They don't want to.
Yeah, they don't want, because they feel comfortable.
They feel comfortable
Very
there.
Comfortable.
And what can actually make you get caught in these vibrational levels?
Not enough knowledge. I'm not even gonna say ignorance.
But that's it.
Not
and
enough knowledge.
That's what David Hawkins teaches you about awareness.
Yeah.
That's what he teaches you about awareness.
So I know for him, he said, in order to raise your vibration, it's a thing where once something, like say something negative happens.
Yes.
It's the way you look at it, and handle it, versus the way you react to it.
Correct.
Because you can go from 0 to 100 and
correct.
Or you can say, you know what, this is an obstacle. Let me make some calls and see how we can work this out.
Perspective. Exactly.
Like it's not that serious.
But that's the thing. So if you can approach things, so you and I have learned that because we operate on the higher level of the scale in the majority of our lives at this point. And if you incorporate love in most of our encounters with a majority of people, then that means we have changed our frequency to operate at a higher level, which is almost at 500, almost all the time.
Yes, and above.
Almost all the time. Do you know how peaceful we are?
Oh, definitely. And I was telling you today how the last couple of weeks I've had some things going on with my daughters, and I'm one of those parents where once something happens, I get engulfed in their problems, and it used to change my vibration. Like I will be, if they were sad, I'm sad with them, and I'm lowering my vibration along with them. And instead of helping bring up their vibration, I was helping them keep theirs down because I was reacting to the situation.
Correct.
And so now, like I already gave myself a mental award. I already visualized a certificate because I have mastered patience. I have mastered not going crazy when a situation comes up, and I'm like, oh my God, this is happening to you. And I'm, or even like one of them came to me about something that happened, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I said, and I said to her, it's not that serious.
Yeah.
And she was sweating. I could tell she wanted to cry. And I was like, and normally that particular situation, I probably would have made her feel worse. I would have like, are you crazy? Why would you do that? Are you serious? But no, I didn't do that. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not that serious. You can work it out. And I actually gave her a suggestion. And when she left my room, she felt a lot better because I looked at it, I handled it, and I gave her a different perspective on how to look at it.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's an amazing, it's a lot of work to do, but when you get to that level, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
And it's actually not hard.
It's not.
It's not
you
hard.
You have to let go of yourself.
Yeah.
You're the only one. You're fighting against you.
You know who learn how to master this? Unfortunately, they can't raise our vibrations too high unless they're looking at it from a different angle.
Sure.
People who become very ill, like people with cancer, people who have like terminally ill diseases, they tend to look at things differently than they did before they got sick. And they learn how to not let it bother them.
Right.
As it did before.
Right.
And it's sad because why do you have to wait till you have a terminally ill disease to start looking through a different set of lenses?
Right.
When you could have just did that all along.
Right.
So.
Why do you think that is?
Because they have accepted the fact that they can't make any major changes with these frequencies. So someone who has cancer and is watching the news, they're sitting there like, okay, the president is doing X, Y, and Z. I can't change that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and enjoy my family while I'm here.
And then a lot of them too get to a point where they are a lot more forgiving.
Yes.
And have gratitude.
Yes.
And that's something else that David Hawkins teaches. Yes.
And that's what I talked about in the beginning, how I got out of my depression.
Correct.
So a person who, like you said, with the terminally ill disease, they're like, wait a minute, I appreciate this cup.
Yep.
God is so good. I'm able to still hold this cup at this very moment.
Yes.
I'm able to swallow the liquids that's in this cup. Some people have throat cancer and can't swallow the liquids in that cup.
Exactly.
So it's all, like you said, all about perspective.
It's all about perspective. Yes, it's the frequency.
So now somebody who is starting out.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I get it. I understand the frequencies is my perception of how things are, my vibration. And a person who is watching the show should look at the scale and say, okay, what vibration level am I at? How do we... what are the tools that they can use to help them in that sense? So
again, I just named one. Forgiveness.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is major.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing is you have to start with yourself.
Yes.
You have to start with yourself. You got to forgive yourself for the things that you have done.
Yes.
You have to forgive yourself for just whatever. Just whatever. Start with yourself. Start loving yourself. Get yourself to a point where you're vibrating at 500.
Yeah, because shame is vibrating at 20.
Exactly.
And many of us have shame.
We do.
And we have been trying to be. You've heard this message from us before. I don't care, and I joke around, but I'm serious. I don't care if you were a prostitute or a whore early in your life. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Because it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
And it doesn't matter what people are out here saying about you.
Yeah.
I don't care what people think about you. I don't care what box dudes are trying to put you in. Because dudes are out here trying to put certain types of women in certain boxes. Who cares?
Exactly.
No one cares anymore. They don't matter. Their opinion of you doesn't matter. None of it matters.
I'm glad you brought that up because stop caring. That's the pride. Stop caring what people think about you because I always say at the end of the day, and I even say with my husband, when we're paying our bills, no one is sitting there with us.
Yep.
No one is there knocking on the door. Here goes $1,000. Put this towards your bills.
Correct.
So why would you give a fuck what somebody thinks about you?
Correct. Correct.
Really? Like, why would you care?
Yes.
Because they don't matter.
Yep. Start with yourself first. Forgive yourself. Do the healing with yourself first and foremost.
Yes.
Get to a point where you're vibrating at 500 because there's no possible way that you could ever radiate this immense amount of love and find peace unless you are vibrating at a majority of the time at 500 and above or near 500 and above.
Yes.
Unless it's within you.
Yeah.
You have to.
And it's really important to get this scale. And we'll have that available for you guys soon.
We are.
Because you really need to check yourself.
Yeah, you do.
Like you need to look at the scale and be like, okay, where am I vibrating at right now, this moment?
Yeah, because if you're going back and forth all the time, you have to understand those are your trigger points. And that's the trigger points is where the shadow work comes in because that's another part of the philosophies that Keisha and I use because that's the work that you have to start doing. Because when you start focusing on those trigger points, then you have to start peeling back the layers because a lot of times when you find your trigger points, you don't even understand that those trigger points may not have come from a current lifetime. And this is when it gets deep. This is when it gets deep, y'all. That trigger point may not have come from a current lifetime.
Yep.
It could have come from past lifetime trauma, whether you believe it or not. And I don't care. That shit and that baggage could have been sitting with you from past lifetimes. It could have been sitting with you from generational karma and or trauma.
Yep.
And a lot of people are not specialized in understanding that and understanding these techniques and how to pull it out of you.
Yep.
You can find all the self-help people that you want. You can find all the self-help people that you want. And nobody's going to help. A lot of people are not going to be able to find it and pull it out of you.
Oh, yeah.
But Janine and Keisha, we going to find that bitch.
Yep. So listen, now, I'm glad we're talking about this because this is where it gets really, really tricky for people.
Yeah.
Therapy. Now, therapy, when I say therapy, going to sit with a psychiatrist, or now things are becoming hands-on. You can get it through virtual.
Yeah.
I suggest everyone to at least speak to someone to help them get through this process. Because if you don't know how to fix your life, that's like me telling you go sew a dress. If you never sewed a dress, how can you sew a dress if you don't know how to do it?
Right.
I'm going to give some kudos to therapy because it can help.
Yes.
It really can help. Unfortunately, in some communities, they don't believe in therapy, but that's another show.
Yeah.
But we suggest that you do therapy. Now, this is the trick. Where Janine and I come in is that we're intuitive life coaches. And we do encourage you to do therapy. But the gift that we have is that we can tap into things that your therapist can't. And we had a situation where we just did someone's session the other day. And we asked her at the very end, because she was like so happy. She was thanking us. And I said, now be honest with me, because she's been getting therapy for months.
Yeah.
I said, all of the therapy that you had with these 2 sessions that you've had with us, did it amount to that? And she said, the 2 sessions she had with the 2 of us was way better than the session she had through therapy. Like I said, I don't want anyone to say the twin flame said to not do therapy. I'm looking at this camera. Don't you dare do that to us.
Don't you say that.
Don't you say that. But I'm trying to give you guys encouragement, even if it's not from us, from anyone that does. This is specific, intuitive life coaching. And this is why. Many of you go and sit on a therapist's couch and lie.
Yeah.
You do not tell the whole truth. You will only tell them what your pride gets in the way, and you only tell them what you want them to know.
Right.
That's not fair to you. It doesn't benefit the therapist. The therapist is making money off of you anyway. But you end up losing in the end, and they cannot help you full circle.
Yeah.
So where Janine and I come in is, if you choose not to tell us everything, we still find out lovingly.
Period.
We still find out lovingly because they be like,
by the way.
One time I was sitting with a lady and I was like, so how's your kids? oh, my kids are fine. They're good. They're fine.
Yeah.
They tapped me on the shoulder. I came, how's your kids? Oh my God, my kids are amazing. They're good. Same session, I said, third time, I said, are you sure, ma'am, everything's okay with your kids?
Yeah.
Because our kids were like ages, I think 18 and 23, three or four kids. Make a long story short, they had a lot of ish going on.
Yeah.
She wouldn't tell me, and that session, that unfortunately our business relationship had ended, so I couldn't really delve into her storyline. But when I found out later, I was like, oh, all of this was happening. It came out. Her pride was put to the side, and it came out like a bag of worms. And so my intuitive team, my spiritual team, tapped me on my shoulder, let me know about her kids. And that's what happens with Janine and I. When we do your life coaching, we do get the truth at some point.
Yeah.
So we can help you full circle. Like the whole idea is like I talk about this garden, like if you have a garden full of problems, you got to clear everything out. You can't leave some of the bad flower in there.
Yeah.
Because if you leave some of the bad flower in there, when you press the reset button, the bad flower is going to infect the grown flower and the new flower and the living flower. So it's really important that you are honest and you get the help that you need that is going to pull forward all the help that you can get.
Yeah.
So, and we had mentioned if you come on our show, there's a little plug. If you come on our show and get one session live, and we will not embarrass you at all, then you can get a free life package with us.
You will.
Yeah.
You will, indeed.
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing about after you do your own healing, then you'll start to see that your healing starts to resonate and spread, and you can start healing other people, and other people can feel your high vibration.
Yes.
And you actually can start healing other people through healing yourself.
Definitely.
So I know that I have really started to change the people around me through healing myself, and you can start attracting. And I know people are, wonder, why can't I attract a good partner? Why can't I attract a good partner? And you have to understand, because you have to do the work on yourself. And then when you start changing yourself, trust me, that partner is going to come. And those that do have partners and you wonder why your relationship isn't working, is because you guys are stuck at certain frequencies. Your frequencies together are too low. And it may have been, your vibrations. Your vibrations are too low. And then when your vibration may have been higher at some point, but then you guys came together to learn lessons, which is what caused your vibrations to come down. And then once you guys overcome the lessons, you can vibrate back up at a higher vibration and operate optimally. So this is really important to understand about relationships. The nature of relationships is that when you guys come together in relationships, God wants you to operate at 500 together, but we have to overcome lessons. And that's the nature of a contract, a soul contract, or soulmates. So soulmates come together. You make a contract before you reincarnate, and not to get complicated for some of you guys that maybe don't even understand the nature of some of these terms, but I'm sure we've all heard of soulmates before. Everybody throws out the term of a soulmate. What's a soulmate?
Yeah.
A soulmate, that's what it is. You made a contract with each other. Two souls come together. You want to learn lessons from each other and walk the path in this lifetime of learning a lesson. But the lesson is that you're vibrating at a frequency and you guys are stuck.
Yes.
And until you understand the lesson, when you learn the lesson, you can either break free from the contract and you two can move on, which is what happened to my ex and I. As you guys, if you go back and listen to our very first video, when I exposed myself about my ex, we were soulmates. And he taught me a very hard life lesson, which was about self-love. And then I had to break the contract with him. We weren't meant to be together. I had to break the contract. And And then when we broke the contract, then I could break free from it, learn a great lesson, and vibrate at 500, which was so important.
Yeah.
It was more important to me than anything. And I thank him for that, which is why I can honestly say I love him the way that I do.
Yes.
I know everybody's looking at that video, which somebody on Instagram is like, how can you say that you love him and that he's a good guy? Well, that's why.
Because you're looking at it
That's
from a different set
why.
of
Because I'm
lenses.
looking at it, from a different frequency. If I would have never had that experience, I could never vibrate at 500. And all of you guys who are at lower frequencies or at lower vibrations, you would never understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
You would never get it. That man did me a favor. He helped me understand who I am and he helped me become who I was supposed to be. He did an amazing thing for me. He helped me understand that I was supposed to love myself in a way that I could live in my fullest potential. It was an amazing gift.
Yeah.
So now I'm vibrating at 500.
Yeah.
And I can love not only myself at 500, I can love my partner at 500. And I can freaking love humanity at 500.
Oh, yeah, because you're not judging. You're not looking at everyone with a side eye. You're looking at them through a lens of love and understanding that they too are going through a process.
Yeah.
And that at some point in their life that they'll learn the lesson, hopefully.
Exactly.
And you just got to pray for people.
Exactly.
And understand that that's where they're at in their life.
Exactly.
Instead of judging them, but what you can do is give them good vibrations.
Yeah.
And your good vibrations will give them hope, knowing that one day they too can be vibrating at the level that you are.
Yeah. So this is the thing. So a lot of people encounter people, like, let's just say you have somebody at work that triggers you. Oh, I don't understand. These people are attacking me at work. They're attacking you at work. These people are your villains for a reason. They're attacking you at work because they are meant to teach you a lesson. They're keeping your vibration stuck because they're not the ones keeping your vibration stuck. You're keeping your vibration stuck
because you're looking at your perception of
the situation. Is altered.
Yes,
because the situation is meant to teach you a lesson about yourself. That's it.
Yeah,
and then once you learn the lesson and break free from it, guess what happens?
Your vibration raises, and the test is you pass the test.
And you pass the test.
So people must understand. Let's talk about manifestation. Because you manifest this scale that we're showing you. You manifest at every level. So when you're on a lower level, if you're putting out a low vibration, you're going to get back low vibration situations.
Exactly.
If you go to work, if you wake up in the morning and first thing you say, oh God, I don't want to go to work. It's going to be a terrible day. Guess what? Because your vibration is low, you're telling the universe that you want a bad day.
Yeah.
And the universe has to match your vibration.
It has to match your energy.
That's really important for people to understand. You manifest every single day. And whatever you put out, you get it right back. And then the thing too is if you have patterns. So people must understand is that when you leave your job, you quit your job and you're going to go to another job, or you leave one relationship and go to another relationship. Whatever it is that you keep jumping from, you actually are running from the problem instead of facing the problem. And you must understand that you're going to get the same exact problem. You're
every
get the
single
same
time.
Patterns because you have not learned the lesson. So if you are adamant, I'm going to start having high vibrations, trust and believe, I guarantee you will start getting higher vibration situations coming to you.
Exactly.
The universe has to match your frequency.
Every single time.
So if you tell the universe I want a cheeseburger, but didn't say I wanted with onions and ketchup and mayo, they're going to give you exactly what you ordered.
You better ask for them onions and pickles.
And all that extra stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, it's really, this is like it's so riveting. And it's so amazing. Oh, one thing we have to also add to this thing, because I did mention about getting therapy.
Yeah.
Prayer meditation is a big, big thing.
It is.
Because you see your therapist once a week and you're left alone by yourself for the rest of the 6 days.
Yeah.
So you have to start praying and meditating to get through
Which is what you said was one of your tools.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to pray and meditate because you have a spiritual team.
Yeah.
Which consists of God, of course, whoever you believe in, if it's Buddha, Jesus, whoever, and your family, your ancestral family, your higher self.
Right.
And we talk about this in other videos. You have a team around you, but the universal law is they cannot give you more than what you need.
Right.
So if you're only saying I'm going to have a bad day, then they have to stand by and let you have that bad day.
Right.
But if you're saying I'm going to have a good day, you have positive thoughts, you sit on the toilet every morning, so I'm having a great day, you go to bed at night and say, "Oh, I love myself." And throughout the day you're just giving all these good vibrations. Your team is like, "Okay, now we got the green light. We can help her."
Right.
Or him. It's not just a female show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
yeah, and I want to say this too. So one thing about this vibrational scale, it's not a class system because even though we were the keepers of this information in a past life, and this is where we messed up because we didn't spread this information to the world.
Yes.
It got in the wrong hands.
It did.
And it created a class system.
Mm-hmm.
And people that vibrate on a lower scale, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of people vibrating at lower ends of the scale, and they're getting labeled as bad people.
Or lazy, procrastinators.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you're not bad people.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all representation of the light.
Mm-hmm.
Every last one of us.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. I don't care where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what color you are. I don't care what gender you are. I don't care what religion you are. So on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
We all carry the light.
We sure do.
And if we all have light in us, that means we're all light workers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what nobody says.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people are going to fight me on this. And what that means is that we all have to come into awareness of our gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's our vibration that gives us that power. Okay? So as we move up and down the scale and we remove the contracts and we remove the fact that we are stuck and we increase our light,
Mm-hmm.
not only does God give us more gifts, because that's what happened to us. As we started to increase our vibration, we became more psychic.
Mm-hmm.
And we aren't anybody special. This is what happens to all of us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because the veil of forgetfulness is taken away.
It's removed.
Yeah.
And because we all carry light. What that means is, as we move up and down this scale and we become more and more vibrational, that means we all have the powers and the ability to be able to help other people through the light that we carry.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
So you don't even have to say anything or do anything. You can just be present.
You just be
in
present.
And just bring positivity.
And bring positivity.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm saying this to say, when individuals say things, it's not my responsibility to help individuals heal. I understand it because you're not in awareness of it.
Mm-hmm.
I understand it because it may be where you are in your journey.
Mm-hmm.
However, just know that you are the light.
Mm-hmm.
And because you are the light, it's going to spread regardless.
Yep.
Regardless.
So they must understand that if they're not spreading light and they're spreading negativity, then they're doing the complete opposite, and they're
Correct.
hurting people. So they have so indirectly, yeah, you're not responsible for raising people's vibrations,
Correct.
but don't hurt them in the
Don't
process.
hurt them.
And just something simple like saying something mean to someone. You could be an atheist and still have light.
Correct.
A lot of atheists are light workers.
Correct.
A lot of atheists are light workers. I've seen atheists give the shirt off their backs versus someone who believes in God and says, it's not my responsibility to help those who are on the lower level. So.
Because, listen, darkness and light all exist on the same spectrum.
Yeah.
It's just different fractions of light. That's all it is.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's all it is. So, we all just carry different responsibilities when it comes to it. It's just a matter of awareness.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Also, too, I want to just make sure people understand that when they're looking at these frequencies like we mentioned earlier,
vibrations.
The frequencies of vibration, their perspective that you
mentioned. Yeah, the perspective. Yeah.
When they're looking at these frequencies, they must understand that their plight is not the same as other people's.
Correct.
So someone who lives in a low-income apartment who is on social media looking at all the people that are quote-unquote winning, are they really winning? You have to redefine what your goal is in your life.
Yeah.
Because if you continue to try to live the dream of someone else, you'll always be in a low vibration.
Yeah.
So they must understand that they have to find out what their purpose is.
Yeah.
And what goals are they supposed to achieve while they're here on this earth.
Correct.
Because if they continue trying to achieve what other people have, they will always vibrate lower. Because they will never be happy. They'll never have gratitude.
Yep.
And that's really important with this scale. People must look at your situation and figure out what is it that I'm supposed to be doing.
Yep.
I told a patient the other day, I'm like, you get messages on a regular of what you're supposed to do, what's your to-do list for today. And I said, many times you throw that in the garbage because you're saying, that's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to be like that person on social media. I want to be in Dubai and I want to, but maybe that's not your purpose right now.
Exactly.
So figure out what your purpose is right now and be the best you can at that moment and vibrate on the highest scale and trust and believe. I always feel like the universe only gives you what you can handle.
Correct.
So if God is willing to give you a mansion, but you're in an apartment that you can't appreciate, and he knows when you get to that mansion, you're going to still vibrate on a lower scale, then what's it all about? Yeah. So you must remember, you must learn how to vibrate on any obstacle or any situation that you're in, because that's the whole purpose of this thing we call Earth and this life that we are living.
Well said, sis.
Yeah.
Well said.
So
that was a mouthful. This was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. You might have to look at this video twice to understand what we're talking about, because we just gave you the blueprint.
Yeah.
We just gave you the blueprint.
But honestly, our skills, we have enough information that we can really take anybody's situation and map it out to these different consciousness levels. And put us to the challenge. Yeah. We're open. We're open.
We were gonna do a show one time and we never got around to doing it, where we were gonna both write like different scenarios, like some really effed up scenarios, and then the other person would have had to look at it from a different set of lenses. Remember?
Yeah, I do.
And we were gonna put on sunglasses, or we were gonna do a little skit. But the purpose of that was to show everyone that when you are in a situation, how you can look at it from a different set of lenses.
Yeah.
And that right there is the core of how you can make it. Is not looking at everything like, oh God, but
woe is me.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And that's one of the lower vibrations.
It is.
It's the blame game and woe it's me.
And that's one of the other tools that I didn't get a chance to say was showing gratitude.
Gratitude is a big, big thing.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to be grateful. Mm-hmm. And that's what helps, because that's what helps raise your vibration. You gotta show God, like, listen, like at the end of the day, I may not have this, but I'm grateful for that.
Yes. Yes.
It's showing love. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Definitely.
But, yeah, man. This thing called life, we know it's not easy for sure, because you have to go through you have to go through pain. You have to go through experiences and trauma, and how you make yourself out of it is what, gives you, the ability to come out as a champ in the end.
So, I'm going to give you a scenario. Let me figure one out real quick.
Yeah.
Let me see.
You ain't quick enough.
Okay. You driving to work. Your car breaks down.
Okay.
And
shit, that happened to me yesterday.
all right, let me do something else.
That's too easy. You're too close, man.
Let's see. What's another scenario? Let me get another obstacle. Damn, what's a good obstacle? Do you have one for me? Let me see. Wait, no. Let me.
You're too. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
You trying to get ready for work, you have diarrhea and you shit all over your clothes.
I can't.
And you have a meeting at 8:30.
I can't.
And it's 7:45.
Well.
Now let's talk about this, because what vibration would you be on?
Shame. I'll be at 28.
Woo, you'll be at fear, worry, and anxiety.
Anger,
aggression. So what? How would you like that? That's a scenario. What would you do? And
I'll be grateful, bitch, because I get to have a day off of work.
So she gonna meet this whole entire meeting, right?
Yes,
she's gonna miss the whole entire meeting. That's what I meant to say.
Praying for a day off.
Oh my God.
Give me something I can't handle.
I thought you was gonna say something like, at least I have an asshole with diarrhea coming out of. Because some people are wearing what's that called? A colostomy bag.
I've been praying for a day off. No.
Well, okay, that's how you look at it.
Yes.
So then another way you could do it is calm down and call your boss. And be transparent.
Listen, my boss is very understanding. And
well,
plus, we're nurses. Are you crazy?
But I'm just saying, like, after I have the quick moment of like, oh my God, I might miss this meeting and go through a lower vibration, I'm going to bring myself back up, because like David said, he said, think about it and ask yourself how I'm going to handle it versus reacting.
Yeah, I don't know if
So somebody should do is take a breather.
Yeah.
Call your job. I'm having diarrhea.
Yeah.
And I might miss the meeting. That's it. But we're making a joke out of something, but that can mess up somebody's entire day.
It could.
And then they finally get to work, they bring this energy to work, and their whole day is ruined because of that one thing that happened. So I'm so glad I brought that up, because it's everything that happens in your life. You gotta think about it and handle it in a sanity way.
Yeah.
Versus like, oh my God.
I'm not so happy you brought up me and my asshole and my digestional issues. But
that's a regular thing that could happen. There's a lot of people out there with IBS.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God. And oh my God, I'm gonna miss the meeting. And what if their pride gets in the way? Nobody think that I'm incompetent.
Yeah.
But that was a tiny example. I mean, diarrhea was part of it. So
I don't think that was the best example.
Let me see.
No, we're moving on.
But that was an obstacle, and you literally could have went from 500 down to 20, down to 40, in an instant, instead of saying, let me relax myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm already sweating and having diarrhea to begin with. So now I don't want to. Because that one incident, like I said, can literally lower your vibration for the rest of the day. And there's people that come to work who had a situation like that, and they will make everybody feel miserable.
Yeah.
Like, hi, Becky. Or hi, Lisa. Hey.
True.
Hello. I'm like, damn, I'm here trying to enjoy my cup of coffee, and she done turned the energy in the office totally down.
True that.
So.
True that. But listen, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
After all of this, you know how I like to end the show, but I want to know your opinion about how would you define love?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Since we radiate at 500, which is love, how would you define love?
Love to me, love comes in different shades. Something simple like telling someone, have a blessed day.
Yeah.
Have a good day. Opening a door for someone.
Yeah.
Smiling. Saying, hi, how are you? How's your day going?
Yeah.
Making people feel good, not judging folks.
Yeah.
And giving people hope. That's one of my many definitions of love.
Yeah.
Of course, I have love, like a different set of love that I have for my family and for my kids and my husband. But people must understand that you can give love in so many different ways. That like for example, a lady who died and came back, she said God showed her how she was at the register, and the lady before her realized that she had lost her wallet. She left her wallet at home.
Yeah.
And had all these groceries on the conveyor belt.
Yeah.
She paid for the lady's groceries.
That's dope.
That was a form of love. And then God showed her, it was like a ripple effect because the same exact thing happened to that lady.
That's dope.
And that lady did the same thing to someone else. So people must understand when you give love, it's like throwing the pebble into the lake and the ripple effect that has. So that person that you say, hey, have a blessed day, they're going to go home or they'll go in the office and give someone else that same love. And then that person will bring that energy home to their family.
That's dope.
So that's my version of what love is. Love is something that once you put it out into the universe, it will have a
ripple effect. I love that.
Yeah.
Like me, I like to feed the squirrels and the birds.
Yeah, you do.
Even like cleaning the toilet seat after you use the bathroom. I know it sounds crazy, but it's like people don't think about that.
Yeah.
And like my coworker, she walked past my room the other day, and I said, "Come here, real quick." I'm like, I love you. She's like, "You're acting weird." I'm like, "No, I just want you to know I really love you." And I gave her a hug. She's like, "I love you too, but what's this about? What did I do?" I'm like, "Nothing. I just love you."
Yes.
And she's like, "Well, I love you too." Just doing things like that.
Like
just
how you did the snoop on the stoop at work for the holidays.
Yeah, and just being spontaneous.
Yes,
so just random acts of kindness. And, a lot of times people talk about love language. And sometimes when people express their love language, unfortunately, in relationships, that people don't understand other people's love language. Yes. And we'll save that for another show.
Okay.
But continue to spread your love however you express your love language. And just remember.
Yes.
And well, first of all, if you haven't hit the subscribe button.
Oh, yes, please.
that's showing love.
Come
at 500.
On now.
And share this video because this is something that would not only spread love in so many different forms, but it would show love to us. And we really appreciate it. So share and like, subscribe to the channel. But remember, everybody, that God is love. Now you know why.
Yes.
Love is the highest frequency. And make sure you go and find the God within you.
Be blessed.